Shabbat Shalom. As I greet you on this Shabbos, on this Friday night, we're in the midst of the story of Exodus, and a few weeks ago I made reference to Moses at the burning bush and let my people go. That folk song, that protest song, that work song that has been sung and used in so many different contexts for the Jews, for people of color, for people that are saying, we feel enslaved, we feel we're in bondage, let my people go. And that song was resonating through these last few weeks. And then on Wednesday, something else caught my attention. Now, I will tell you, it would be, part of me says I should just be talking about Amanda Gorman and her amazing poem. I'm already getting hands raised and jazz hands here in the sanctuary for that. It really was amazing, and one of my colleagues, I believe, will be teaching a class she did, a whole commentary on it, and we'll be glad to share that with our congregation. But there was a different performance that caught my attention because of the really strange paradox that it presented. And it's something that's a paradox that is vital and important to talk about as we're talking about Tu B'Shvat and planting trees. Because trees, a singular tree is incredible, yet a tree is part of a community. And a tree is not a fixed point in time. A tree marks a whole spread of time with all sorts of different layers and twists and turns. Forests and trees are not linear history. What I share with you is not linear in any way, and yet, when you really start to think about it, it is truly incredible. Because one of the performances, and as you hear this, it's going to sound like a rabbi, a priest, and a minister walked into a bar, because what I'm going to share with you is, if you were watching, you probably saw J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, a Latina icon, and there she was in her dress singing "This Land Is Your Land" into a medley of America the Beautiful. And here she is from her Hispanic Latin background singing these songs, and one of them is "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land," from California to the New York Islands, was by Woody Guthrie from Oklahoma. Did you know that Woody Guthrie married a nice Jewish girl whose mother was actually a actress of Yiddish stage and screen? And "This land is your land, and this land is my land." And she didn't sing all of the verses. And even now in recordings, you won't find all of the verses, because wouldn't you know that Woody Guthrie wrote it as a protest song. He said, "This land is your land, this land is my land." And he had references to a person who was walking up and found private property, and it was this beautiful farm, and there they are, people without food during the Depression, and no jobs and no clothes. And he says, yes, it says no trespassing on the front, but it doesn't on the back. "This land is my land, this land is your land," from California to New York Islands. There's other stanzas and paragraphs, and some have been lost and some get sanitized, but he wrote it as a protest song. And get this, not just any kind of protest song, but a direct response to America the Beautiful. God Bless America. Oh man. I've got America the Beautiful, God Bless America, all twisted up. She did it to America the Beautiful? Wouldn't you know? This is going to get interesting now. See, I don't even know. Sometimes you get lost in the forest of the trees. So here's the story. She sang America the Beautiful. But in order for this to work, what she should have sang is God Bless America, because then it really works, because Woody Guthrie sang it, saying "This land is your land, this land is my land," as a response to God Bless America. And who wrote God Bless America? Irving Berlin. Yeah, nice Jewish boy. In 1918, Irving Berlin wrote God Bless America because he was happy, that excited he had made it here from Eastern Europe, And he had created that song to say, God bless America. We were struggling in Europe. It was a place that tried to crush us, body and spirit, and yet we got to the United States. And it was a patriotism for a Jewish immigrant, and in fact, was such patriotism from a Jewish immigrant and became so popular that it was boycotted by the Ku Klux Klan. And so Woody Guthrie, in hearing Berlin's positivity and love for America, was frustrated 20 years later during the Depression, and that's when he wrote, "This land is my land, this land is your land," in a response to it. And I look at those two songs, and I look at Irving Berlin, the immigrant and excited, and also think about that for a minute. In 1918, what had already happened? Nativism, xenophobia, the fear that those people, those immigrants, those strange people from Eastern Europe are going to ruin our country. We have to keep them out. And the immigration pipeline that had been started that brought so many of our ancestors, including mine, to this country got shut off to detrimental effect later during World War II and the Holocaust. And yet there is Irving Berlin singing this song in the midst of, wait, don't we want America to be blessed by God? Don't we want this America where everybody is included and free? And so here we have these two songs. This land is my land, this land is your land. And America the Beautiful, these two different songs. And if you think about them, what did I say a few weeks ago? I talked about Moses, go down Moses, let my people go. What do these two songs, if you think about America the Beautiful, and if you think about this land, and Woody Guthrie is a protest song, and Irving Berlin talking about this as a promised land, we've got the other two parts of the journey, where you've got Moses hoping, praying, working for freedom, the exodus from Egypt and slavery, getting out of that place that is stuck. Woody Guthrie is singing of our experience as we journeyed from Egypt, and we have those moments, those glimmers of hope, and we see the promise is out there, but there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of injustice in the world. There's a lot of people that need to be taken care of. There's a lot of order to create until you get to the end with God Bless America and Irving Berlin reaching a sense of the promised land. Now, when I started, I said that this is not a linear story, and that's part of what we were witnessing as we saw the inauguration, as I'm watching J-Lo sing "This Land is Your Land," and thinking about this whole story, because in so many ways it's that Irving Berlin moment where we see the promise of this land, this country, this nation, of what it could be. And then as soon as you blink, you turn around and realize that we're still in the midst of the journey. There's a lot of work to do. There is still injustice and inequity. We've got to march from sea to shining sea, seeing the beauty but bringing it forward for everyone. And then you also have moments where we still feel like Moses, where in fact we feel that oppression and stuckness and fear. And are we just going to get back to that place where we are uncivil to each other to the point of ready to tear this country apart, where we have to stand up and say, let my people go. We can't keep doing this. We are plaguing ourselves, or letting plagues destroy our people. These songs, these stories, they cycle and they circle, they bubble up, and sometimes we're in one moment and another time we're in another. It's just like, to me, being in that forest, of looking at that forest, of seeing the moments of success, those moments of awesome beauty, and seeing the failures. This week earlier, I had a chance to go do a tour over at the Environmental Learning Center to walk around and see the trees. How amazing it was, as the person who had planted it 20 years before could show me the majesty of a gumbo limbo tree, beautiful trees, majestic with this incredible bark. And then he could show me this tree, and he said, this tree is stunted because it didn't get enough light, and that's where I planted this very rare tree, and it didn't make it. where you can see trees that have fallen over and you can see trees that are working together. There were moments of success and moments of failure, past and present and future. All of it was there. And I share that with you on this Tu B'Shvat, about those songs, about the story, about that piece of forest that I walked through, because to me, that's the beauty of Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat is an amazing holiday that says to us two important things, three important things. Just like those stories, just like I am telling you past, present, and future of slavery, of journey, of promised land, of Moses, of Woody Guthrie, of Irving Berlin. Tu B'Shvat says for us to sit, to appreciate, to see what has happened in the past, to see the trees that are here for us that have come. Somebody else planted them. Whether we see it as part of our relationship with the divine, or we see it that humans, Johnny Appleseed, out there planting trees, or if it's the birds and the animals that have spread the seeds or the wind, those trees, that's the stuff that's come before, where we have a chance to look back at our moments of success, at our moments of failure, about where things have fallen and where things have been lifted up. We have to be here in this present, really looking around and seeing what is in our world, appreciating the work that's been done, but also realizing of the work we have to do. And that is that last piece. That piece that reminds us that we still have journey. That we, like Woody Guthrie, walking back and forth and seeing that it's not whole and complete. Knowing that if we stop here and say it's a promised land, it's perfect, it's great, then we will have done a disservice. It's a chet, it's a sin. We have lost our way and turned aside, because Tu B'Shvat reminds us in such an incredible and powerful way that, in fact, why do we have Tu B'Shvat? Not just to look back at the past and see what's been done, not just to appreciate the blessings we have in our present, but in fact, to be looking at the successes, at the failures, to be looking at our best and at our worst, and say, what do we need to plant now? What is the work we need to do now? Where are there places of bondage and where are there places of brokenness? What can we do now? So that version of the people of Israel arriving in the promised land, or of Irving Berlin and God Bless America, that moment when our everything works, that shalom, what do we need to plant now? In the forest, in this country, in our lives, what do we need to plant now? So that's those seeds of light, of love, of righteousness, of shalom will be there, ready to grow, ready to blossom, ready to bud, ready for our children, for our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. Let that be our challenge, not just to hug the trees, not just to be in awe of the trees, but to figure out what we can plant in our day and age so that those seeds will come to fruition in the future. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.